Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Los Angeles is set to double their population beginning in the next 3 years. And so what is that going to look like? Many would say, John, that's impossible. How are they going to double their population? It's already very congested. There's no way they can make this work. But they are going to make this work. They're going to be rezoning all of California with the exception of the Bay Area for the time being. I mean, this is almost 200 counties throughout the entire state. This is including places even like Orange County, Riverside, Inglewood, Imperial counties. This is everywhere. Like all of the nice communities are going to get rezoned. So these really nice single-family residential communities that we're all accustomed to in Southern California, they're going to really see a really big change. And I think that what's happening here is something we should all pay attention to. I believe that they're going to rezone all of California to make use of that state to really hold 80, 100 million people. That's what I think. I think 100 million plus people are going to be living in California over the next 7 to 8 years. They're going to really pull all these people in. And you would say, well, John, how is that possible? How could they bring 100 million people to the state of California when California is holding currently 40 million people? So they'd have to double their population, and America is only 330 million people, right? How could a third of the entire country live in California? It's because people are going to be coming from other locations. And California is going to have the housing and the social packages to protect and provide for people financially. And this is greatly going to impact everyone that owns real estate in the state of California and people that work and live in California. They're all going to see massive changes. Take a look at this. This just came out today. SoCal cities will get reprieve from looming housing deadlines. And by the way, if the cities fail to comply, so if you're thinking, hey, I live in California, I'm going to take it up with my local building and safety. If they do not comply, then they will essentially get all their power stripped away and they'll be hit with lawsuits and fines. And then it's just going to be like they're going to have no choice. Every city is going to have to comply with this in California. Every city. And so if you're living there right now, this could be a really rude wake-up call. I recently just sold my house in California, in Los Angeles. Not to do with this, but looking at this, it definitely doesn't make me think I made the wrong decision. Nearly 200 cities and counties across Southern California that failed to meet a state deadline to rezone land for housing have been granted a 3-year extension. Governor Gavin Newsom has signed legislation to extend the deadline for 191 out of 197 cities and counties that have failed to adopt a new housing plan by early February. The Los Angeles Daily News reported the final deadline had been October 15th. By law, governments must update the housing element of their general plans to meet future housing goals determined by the state. They must rezone land to meet those goals. The half-century-old process, which occurs every 8 years, is known as the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. Jurisdictions in the 6 counties of Southern California Association of Governments region needed to have these new housing elements approved by the state by February 11th. This is LA, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, Ventura, and Imperial counties. But just 5 cities and 1 county in the region managed to meet that deadline. Those failing to do so were required to complete the needed rezoning by October 15th or faced a host of potential sanctions, including lawsuits, fines, and cutoff from housing grants and loss of local control over planning decisions, right? So they're going to lose all control. You don't do this, you're going to lose all control. Numerous cities, including the city of LA, said it would be impossible to complete the time-consuming rezoning process on such a massive scale since it includes public hearings, environmental reviews, and California Environmental Quality Act. Los Angeles was almost certain to bust its deadline to rezone by fall to build 250,000 housing units. Like, how many housing units are in California right now? Unincorporated, Los Angeles, 296,000 total units, right? 180,000 which are owner occupied, 115,000 which are renter occupied, right? So they want to take California, specifically Los Angeles here, and build 250,000 just in this one county, right? Just in this one county, 250,000 units. Without the extension, and what also happens here, that's pretty crazy, is if you look at rents in Los Angeles, you're paying $2,500, $3,000 a month for an okay place. You go to the west side, you're probably spending $4,000 a month or more. What's going to happen to the landlords that own properties here when they double the amount of available units? I would imagine that rents will go down. And if people are buying these properties based on a 4% cap rate or 5% cap rate, essentially saying if you bought $1 million property, your all-in net cash flow on $1 million property might be $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year. So if you break that down into 12 months, I mean, they're making very little if they paid all cash, maybe $4,000 a month, right? So that's if they paid cash. Most landlords don't pay cash. Most landlords will finance 80% or 70% of it. So they're going to have massive loans. So if rents are going to start sagging down, what's ultimately going to happen is so are these landlords are going to come right to the sales block. They're going to have to start selling their properties. They're going to have to they're going to be in big problems. This coupled with the eviction moratorium in Los Angeles that's still active until June of 2023. So if all this is happening at the same exact time, you have to ask yourself, how many landlords are going to be in financial distress? How many landlords are going to be able to reduce their rents to meet this type of demand? How many landlords are going to be able to hold on, right? I believe that what's happening here is worth paying attention to. If you have any friends or family in LA, send this to them, share this video with them. Without the extension, it and other SoCal cities would have lost access to billions in state affordable housing grants, hampering construction of new homes for low-income and homeless residents. The legislation tucked into the annual state budget acknowledged LA didn't have the time to complete its housing element. Take into consideration also, half of LA tenants owe back rent. This is UCLA. Half of tenants, I'll leave this in the show notes below the video. Half of LA renters are behind on rent, so landlords are taking losses across the board. This is going to get so interesting. We all need to pay attention to LA. This is going to, I think, change everything. This is going to change everything. Legislation talked. So the city had submitted a plan, historical development trends, which rezone wealthier, lower density neighborhoods, and such as the West Side and San Fernando valleys for more low-income housing. But state housing regulators rejected the plan, saying it didn't provide enough new parks or economic development in poor neighborhoods. That triggered the October deadline, a date that even state officials admitted was impossible considering the lengthy community outreach and environmental reviews required for rezoning. The new legislation gives cities that get state approval for their housing plans by this October until February 2025 to complete the required rezoning. The 3-year extension also applies to jurisdictions in San Diego and Sacramento counties. The bill will not affect the Bay Area, which is currently finalizing the housing plans to submit to the state. So, yeah, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I think smart and savvy real estate investors are paying attention to all of the writing on the wall because real estate as a whole is going to change. Our relationship with capitalism when it comes to being a landlord or owning property is going to change, especially in places like California. And I just wonder, how is this all going to play out? Because California is not going to be standing alone here. There will be other locations peppered throughout the entire country, which will follow very similar protocols, I can almost promise you. And so it would make sense if they're going to build all these housing units that they would want landlords to potentially sell their properties so that they don't have to come out of pocket and build all these units. They could simply take these properties and make them available for low income and affordable housing. What do you think about this? Drop your comments below. I'm very curious as to your thoughts on this entire situation. If you are thinking about buying a property, maybe when the market crashes or when things really start to pull back, join cashnow.video. If you need help fixing your credit, my team of credit repair specialists, they're in-house, cashnow.video. And if you'd like to get on the YouTube grind with me, cashnow.video, subscribe here. Also subscribe to my second channel. It's going to be an interactive call-in show this upcoming week. It's pinned down below in the top comment. And also LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok up in the banner. What do you think about this? Do you think that this is going to happen? They're going to double the housing units? 500,000 housing units in just LA County. 500,000. Just think about how many people would live there. 500,000 units. You would have millions and millions and millions of people living in just LA County. There's no way there could be a police force or any type of protection to really oversee that many people unless they really just started incorporating technology. What do you think about the entire situation? Drop below. Let's talk about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. If you're interested in being sponsored on my YouTube channel, visit cashnow.video/sponsor and fill out the application.